Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Vowz with Marcus and LaFlower. We are super excited tonight because we got some special guests, not virtually, but they're actually here with us tonight. One of our most favorite couples, guys. They are absolutely amazing. But if you are tuning in, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, guys. If you're listening to us on one of our podcast platforms, be sure to download and like and comment on iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those things. Follow Stunner Radio, guys. And of course, if you're on Facebook, definitely like and share. We would definitely love your support. So, baby, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I got my you know what I'm saying? I wasn't able to make it to the beach this summer, so I got on my beach shirt right now. It seems like a good time to whip it out.
Looking good.
I like it. And so, guys, we want to go ahead and introduce our guests so we can jump into some awesome conversations tonight on Beyond the Vowz, guys. Baby, you want to introduce?
Well, without further ado, I would like to introduce.
Don't look at me. Look at
this guy right
me.
here is one of my good friends. There's not enough words I can say about this guy.
Don't make me blush.
I'm going to let him introduce himself and say a little bit about him. But this is Pastor Derek Williams.
Amen. I'm Derek Williams. I pastor over at Temple of Grace in Houston, Texas. And Marcus and LaFlower, they're amazing couple people that I had the opportunity and have the opportunity to walk with for years now. They are amazing. I love them, and I'm happy to be here today with my lovely counterpart here. This is Miesha Williams. My wife is sort of an introvert, if you will. She doesn't like to speak too much, but she's amazing. And this is my wife, Miesha Williams, of 17 years.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So 17 years. How do y'all do it? How do y'all keep it fresh? How do y'all keep it new? How do y'all keep it going?
Well, you know you gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta reinvent yourself, and you gotta stay current with your partner. We get mundane, we get in a monotonous type of lifestyle, and we forget to date. And it's important to make your partner stop and say, wait, hold on, where are you going? It's important to do that. It's important to date your wife.
Well, speaking of date, so I don't want to get too far ahead. Let's
reverse
that.
that.
So speaking of dating, how did this wonderful union start? Where did y'all meet? Where was y'all at? What was going on?
Man, listen, it's ghetto.
Hey, we love it. I like a good ghetto story.
I'm gonna keep it real.
Oh my
Keep it 100.
I was a young man, and I was in a bad situation, and I had. All right, let me be honest. I was locked up.
Okay.
I was locked up.
Young man.
I was locked up when I was way young, another lifetime. And my brother knew her cousin, was actually with her cousin, and he met her, and she didn't know my brother, but every time, she didn't know him.
I didn't know him, but I knew him, but we wasn't on the best terms or anything like that, because he was in a relationship with my cousin. And I saw how that was going, and I was just like, yeah, no.
So your brother was with
With my cousin.
With her
with
cousin.
her
Yeah.
cousin.
Okay.
And so at the time, I'm on a hiatus, and he kept telling me, "Man, I know this girl. I know this girl. She's amazing." I didn't know. I really didn't know her name, but my brother was such a negative Nelly at the time. I thought, if he's saying all this good stuff about her, she got to be good.
Wow.
And so what I did was, I started praying for her, and I just kept praying for her. And lo and behold, when I came home, I got an opportunity to speak to her. The first time I spoke to her, I'm from Louisiana, so I have this heavy Louisiana
Country.
accent.
Yeah.
So it's Louisiana and country mixed
Yes,
together.
country.
It's yeah, bad. And so she didn't understand what I was saying.
You didn't
What-
understand?
What's
No,
up?
I was like, what is he talking about?
Right.
Like, just
So I'm like,
country.
yeah, I was very country, but she gave me another opportunity, and I could have tell she didn't really understand what I was saying. So later on that evening, I slowed down. I started to slow down and just kind of, I talked to her. We talked for hours, and I started asking questions that that were years in the making, and she answered honestly, kind of brutally honest, and by the time we hung up the phone, I knew she was my wife.
Wow.
And we got married a little less than a year afterwards, but I was ready to go that night. I was ready because when you know, and she just was honest. She didn't hold any punches, and she didn't put any. Uh, so I just knew she was okay. If you're gonna do this honest with me, I don't have to worry about her.
Yeah.
Like that. So yeah, and that's how we met. And first thought, what was your first thought when they told you that my brother was my brother?
My first thought was like, no, I ain't gonna be able to do it. Because like while we was before our first conversation, my cousin was like, "Oh, I got this guy I want you to meet." She was like, "It's her boyfriend's brother." And as soon as she said that, I'm just gonna be honest, I was like, hell no, like no, because of the brother,
Right,
like I said. So I was like, no, I'm not. And then she was like, no, he really a nice guy. She had never met him herself, because he was locked up during the whole time, so they had never met. And so, but she was telling me good things about it, and I was like, all right, I guess I give him a try. Because at that time, I didn't want to be bothered. I really didn't even want to be in a relationship.
So is that why you were so honest when you spoke to him? You was just like, if it works, it works. If it don't, like,
I mean, I
here
just
am.
was being me. Really, ain't no need to sugarcoat anything. But I just was in a space where I really didn't want to talk to anyone anyway, just because of past previous relationships didn't turn out
And
right. So
that went along with my prayers. That God would deal with her in a way that would shape and mold her for what I had to bring to the table.
Wow.
And so she was frustrated, I'm sure, with whatever she had gone through, and was just like, look, I don't have any expectations about any guys. I just, whatever. And it fit to what I had brought to the table. And that's how we met. That's my ghetto story.
So, Mike, when did you know he was the one?
I want to say probably like a few weeks. I was like, okay, he just was different from it's crazy because like I fell in love with him, but we never saw each other.
Wow.
Like we really dated over the phone, and I told myself, I was like, even if he's ugly, like, we didn't know what each other looked like. I was like, even if he is ugly, I said I'm gonna give him a chance, because I had fell in love with just who he was without even seeing his face again. When I did meet him, I was like, all right, thank you, Lord.
He came through.
Yeah, he came through.
I love it. I know that you guys have a blended family like we do. So how did you guys, I guess, well, let's just talk about some advice, like looking back, because I know some of the kids are older and things like that. For, anybody that's young out there having a blended family, advice that you would give them to help?
Well, for one, I would definitely say to all the men there dealing with um, kids, love them first. Develop that relationship. Like it has to be. Um, most people want to. Most men want to. You know. Uh, you want to get in and say, hey, this is what I am. This is who I am, and this is how it's gonna go. You know, in a blended family, um, you got to remember that the kids have a story that you're not part of. They have um, history that you're not part of, and you have to go in and create history with these children, and you have to first love them before you can do anything, because you can't discipline somebody rightfully in a biblical way. You can't biblically, you can't discipline what the Bible says if you don't love that person.
Right.
You just being a drill sergeant.
Mhm.
That's all you're doing. You're not doing anything um, what the Bible says. You have to love that individual, and that's most important. Then you have to understand your spouse and understand what she's been through with her children. Um, like my son, my wife was um, in a situation. I didn't get too much into the detail about it, but she was in a situation where um, my son, um, her oldest son, my son, was um, mistreated by somebody she was with. And so every time I went to discipline him or correct him, she was like defensive of him. And I was like, what is that about? And it would have saved a lot of time and miscommunication if we talked about that prior. Like, look, this happened, that happened. And so I would go in understanding. So my advice would be to love that child, develop a real loving relationship with that child before you come in and decide that, you're going to discipline. You're just another demonic force in their life. You're just opposition to that child at that point. And you have to understand what your spouse has been through and, and together build it. I had to tell my wife, like, hey, babe, I'm not going to hurt him. I'm not going to take it to that, I won't hurt him. And, I'm here for you guys, but this needs attention. This behavior needs attention. And she learned to trust that I would never hurt or violate any one of the kids. So love first.
That's very good. What about you?
For me, I would just say I had, let my husband leave because I'm gonna have to turn around and talk to you because it can be a little petty, baby mama drama and all that.
Absolutely.
So I had to just learn to let him leave because at first it was some pettiness, like I guess, hey, I still kind of want to be with him type of situation or whatever that was. And so I really had to bite my tongue a lot and just let him handle the situation and just really think about the kids and I say what I really wanted to say because I had to always keep them in the forefront and just let him lead and handle the situation because sometimes like they want to take you there.
They do.
Yeah.
There'll be times I will literally be like, Flower, just let him go. Let him go. Just let you said he's your husband, so you have to. That was a huge emotional roller coaster for me. One, trusting Marcus enough with the children because of the past that we have been through, and then me allowing him to lead the entire family, and because I was so used to, even though I was in previous relationships, I was used to still playing both roles.
Right.
And so with him coming in, it was times I was literally take a deep breath, okay, just. And even after the situation, not bringing it up, not nagging, not, well, you should have said this, you could have did this, or remember this, or, and just trusting that he loved me and the kids enough to, not do anything that would hurt any of us. So it was a roller coaster ride,
Yeah.
like total emotions. I was like, Lord.
It can work and it can be successful. And I always revert back to biblical instructions about our roles, our prospective roles in marriage, and it can work, blended or not. It can work and it can be very, very successful. We have 7 kids, 8 grandkids, and all of our children, they don't understand the word step.
Right.
They don't understand that. It's my brother or my sister. It's my niece or my nephew. This is my mom and my dad. And and it's love. Love is the foundation of that house. And even when, to go back to the subject of dealing with the opposite, like her children's father, I had opportunity to speak to him and invite him in to what we had. And unfortunately, that didn't turn out successful, you know. But on her end, she had to deal with, at the beginning of our relationship, she had to deal with me not, I literally didn't understand what was happening. My children's mother at the time, prior to my being married, we were cool. Like we were like, she asked me, she said, well, what about, your kid's mother? I'd be like, my kid's mother is the bomb. We are cool. Like, she is just amazing. And I don't know, what she went, my children's mother, I don't know what she went through that kind of said it. I do know some of the things that she went through. And I could understand and even sympathize with the way she felt. For one, I'm from Louisiana, and so I get out of a horrible situation and I leave. I come to Texas. So that was like, what are you doing? But I couldn't stay in Louisiana for a number of reasons. But it just took a turn for the worse. So here's this woman on the phone yelling and screaming at me, and I'm like, what is happening? And here's my wife looking at me in my face like, you ain't gonna say nothing.
Like you said it was cool.
What happened with that?
So, but she trusted me to deal with it. And after I got over, okay, this is not getting any better, I had to set some boundaries and some parameters around what was happening, and we worked through it. And today, we're all good friends.
That's good.
She calls my wife sometimes if she has a question, or I can talk to her husband. And we all, the kids are grown now, but we still have a good understanding. But it will all work. But you have to set those parameters.
I'm also
She said we got to speak up a little bit.
I'm also a big proponent of validation. When you have a blended family, I'm saying like with your children. So if I have children and I'm dating a woman that's going to be their new mom, I'm going to validate who she is.
Right.
This is going to be your new mom. Right. Like we're in this together. She's not going anywhere. So there has to be a level of respect with the children. Because sometimes they don't understand because of your history. They feel like, well, this person's going to be here today, gone tomorrow. I ain't got to answer them. I ain't on their mama. I ain't got to do nothing with you. Matter of fact, you're going to be out of here soon. So go on about your business. Like, as a parent, sometimes you have to sit your own kids down and say, hey, there's going to be a level of respect around her. You're not going to mistreat her. You're not going to talk to her any type of way. She's going to be mama. So I do feel like there has to be discussions between the children, the parent, and understand the relationship that's going on. Once that other person have proven themselves, of course, that they need to be warranted with respect. Because you just don't want to bring somebody around and, if my kids off the rip don't like this person, then 9 times out of 10, it's not going to really work. Right. And you can kind of sense, like, my kids are either afraid or they're just then the other person, they just kind of like, I don't like your kids, so it's not gonna work.
Right.
You know,
Some
so
kids be running people out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People.
they smell when evil
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Kids be running people out.
I don't like your shoes.
I mean, but I do think you're right. There has to be, once you realize that family unit, if you guys really want to do that, then you have to be a united front when it comes to blended families. Because if you're not a united front, then his kids gonna be running, talking to him. Her kids gonna be running, talking to her, and it's not gonna. That blendedness is not gonna work. It's just gonna create even more division in the marriage because you guys are gonna be picking sides, and it's gonna be a pretty bad situation.
Right.
And I will say with the blended, it takes time for everything to gel. It's not going to be overnight. Everybody's not going to be on the same page. Don't make it seem like this has all been peaches and cream from day one.
no.
Like,
It don't work. It doesn't work
So-
like that.
No.
If you're going through problems, it's part of the process.
Right.
Everybody's gonna go. The kids gonna go through it. The parents gonna go through it. The outside parents are gonna go through
Right.
it. And so everybody gets on the same accord that we all in this together. We're not enemies. We're all raising these kids together. We're in a relationship. What happened between us, that's in the past. But we need to work together for the common good of this child.
Right.
And you're going to respect her. She's going to respect you. And we're not going to be fighting amongst us. Okay? So, like I said, this is going to take time. I know some people feel like, oh, it's like this. Once we're together, you need to do this, and you respect her. And now it's like, no.
And then titles with the kids take time too. Because
Right.
you can't say, "Oh, call him daddy, call her mama."
Exactly.
You know, you have to give them time to grow and
That-
establish their own relationship with each other.
That should be earned. That's a good title. Like
Oh yeah.
with the kids, you guys are so right because we have pictures to prove. We have pictures to prove that it's a process. My kids, we were on vacation several times. My kids were in the picture like
Nobody's smiling.
they were
Just
not.
like, wow,
all of the other
weird,
kids
yeah.
were smiling, and they were just like,
But I never came in and forced them. I never said, "Hey, I'm your mom." I never forced them to say anything or even came across that way.
right.
I just
Yeah,
was
they
myself.
love
Like you
her
said,
organically.
they have to come with time.
I think that word step puts the kid, and I hear this a lot with my coworkers and different people. They go, "Oh yeah, man, my stepson, man, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "You probably call him your stepson. He probably knows he's the stepson. Yes, he knows your stepson, but you should say, this is my son. Let me tell you what my son, even if you are angry, this is my son. The word step puts the child literally a step or two away from you.
Exactly.
Like you over there. I got my kids, you over there.
It has a negative
I just don't like that word.
connotation to it.
It's like a curse word to me.
I don't use it. It's ugly. And a lot of people, when I'm speaking to people that know me, and I say, "Oh, I have 7 children," it's like, how'd you do that? They're trying to do the
Oh,
math.
so bad.
This one, we all
I don't take the time or the
To break it
energy
down.
that's what I have, and that's what it is. And no matter what, I don't feel the way that I love. I don't feel a difference. Like our last 2 kids are ours, right? They don't know that the older kids have different fathers. Like they don't know that, and it's not like we're hiding it. It's just because if they ask me, I'm like, yeah, sure, but they don't know that.
That's like Zoe, she's about to be 11 tomorrow. Happy early birthday, Zozo. So Zoe was like, she didn't know either, but now she's getting older. She's putting 2 and 2 together. She was like, well, how come some of them get extra daddies, but only have one mommy and daddy? And so, but we started having some of those conversations with her because she's like, how did that work? Like, I only have 1 and 1. How did they get 2? And so you're right. The older they get, they may start asking questions. There's nothing to hide or anything like that.
It just shows
They
the
don't
love.
know. Right.
It
She's
just
like,
shows the level of love. Yeah. That's what I was trying to get. The way we love, it's not a separation.
you don't see it.
And, but it's been a challenge, but it's been all worth it. So I love my blended family.
I love it. I
How
love
much
it.
time do we have left?
We're good. We got about 5 minutes for commercial.
So I do want to ask you guys, since you talked about the blended family, I want to ask. This is about you guys' relationship. You've been together for 17 years. I know all those 17 years haven't been the best and perfect. So during those times that weren't so good, and y'all were looking at each other with the side eye, and like, I wish you would go over there. I wish you would jump off that cliff right there.
Wow.
During those times, obviously y'all got through those. So what was, and I always say the secret sauce
So what is the secret sauce?
to keeping you guys, I know you said earlier keeping it fresh and new, but how do you navigate the ins and outs of y'all's the bad times? Like, how do y'all come back together from a hard argument? Y'all just like, it was just one of those knockdown where you just like, I don't like her, I don't like him. So how can y'all get back together and communicate and get things back on the same accord? How do y'all handle that?
Well, I, you don't mind me answering first.
I mean, you know.
Every time that was a thing for us. I'm gonna be honest. That was my thing. My weapon of choice was to say, "Yeah, this not gonna work. We just need to go our separate ways." And
I think I've used that a couple times.
yeah,
Oh yeah, we can.
Had that in the holster.
Yeah.
What she said?
And I back down, but then one day, one
You
day,
got that gun ready to
I
go?
was right
Got it
there,
ready?
right there.
So
I got tired of
to
hearing it. Exactly.
answer your question, she got tired of it. Hurt. That hurt her.
Mhm.
It was what I could use to make her stand down
Because we know it hurts.
because we know it hurts. And one day she said, "Okay," and I said, "No way." She said okay, and it just dawned on me. So every argument before that time, every argument we would get into, and I'd storm off, take a break, walk down the street or whatever, I would think about for a few minutes about why we were arguing. Then I would think about what life would be without her. And the argument just seemed so petty, and I needed to hurry up and get home and fix what was broken because it was never that serious to not have her in my life. So,
Yeah, I agree. I think it just come with maturity, and I think those first 5 years is rough.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
really are, because, like you said, and too, like we were young, right? And so you just go to what you know. I want a divorce, but I did get tired of hearing it, So I was just like, okay, whatever, let's do that. 'Cause you say this every time we get into an argument, like I'm tired of hearing let's go for it. I mean, but 17 years later, it's definitely different now. Now he get on my nerves, I get on his, and just be like,
Like, hey, you know,
we arguing. It's like, okay, you want something to eat?
Right.
We good.
now that we got
We
that
been
out my
moved on,
chest.
yeah.
Yeah. Our arguments are funny compared to in the past. They're really hilarious. I'm being honest. Somebody that grew up hearing things, seeing people go through a lot of things. The way we argue now is like it belongs on a sitcom. It really does.
Yeah. I just say you have to work through it, because we never had any role models to look to for marriage either. Like my parents were never married. Your parents were never married,
Right.
so you just have to fight and work through it, especially when you don't have anybody to look up to be like, wow, these people been married, for a long time, to use it as an example of what a marriage should look like. You have to fight even harder.
I mean, you bring up a really good point, because a lot of people, that's at our stages and things, didn't have a lot of good role models. Or you had role models, one of them was slipping or dipping, and they
Right.
doing their own thing, you doing, and y'all just staying together for the sake of the finances or the children and
Right.
stuff like that. But to have people that really stick together because they want to, because they love each other, because they love God, that's a whole nother level of things.
And not to make light of a situation, I know when they saw Derek walking down the street, swinging at the air, they're like, oh, we got in the fight again.
Really?
On bad terms, man.
I'm trying to tell you, man, you're right about it. But it's been a wonderful challenge, man, and it's well worth it, especially when you mature and you settle in and you realize, exactly what you can accomplish together in terms of love and peace and joy. Marriage is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. We were just thinking back the other day, like, man, we started in a 2-bedroom apartment with about 10 people
For real, though, that's
in that
true.
apartment.
Mhm.
And we're like, wow, because sometimes you constantly looking at the next level, like, God, what are we gonna do next? What are we moving towards next? Like, what is it? What are our next moves as a couple? But sometimes it just really is to just sit there and just think back and see the progression, see the blessings, see where God has brought you from, and it really just blows my mind sometimes to think like, wow.
I know we gotta go to break, but I'm like you said, one of the things is you realize if you sit back and remove yourself from your argument, you realize like you don't need to argue.
Exactly.
Some of this stuff is petty. Like who left this out?
Yeah.
Who didn't put this up?
Who didn't say thank you?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
So it's like some of that stuff is just like, you know what, this is retarded. I'm sorry. This is
Like, what was he arguing about?
Exactly.
Like, I don't even
Listen,
remember. Yeah.
We literally had that conversation the other day. It sounded like this. What happened again?
Right.
Like,
2 days
you know
ago.
what? Never mind. This was an argument that was like not a real argument, but a disagreement. And so we started debating and talking back and forth. And I think my wife was like, "What we said again?" And I'm like, "What you watching?"
Yeah.
This is like this is ridiculous.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, guys, we gotta go to a quick commercial break. We will be right back.
Life is better when you are living on purpose, but many times we get stuck in the rat race and in the mundane task of our day-to-day lives, causing most to lose sight of their purpose. That's why certified life coach, inner healer, and business strategist LaFlower Bowie is here to help you get calibrated to your calling through proven systems, techniques, and resources. Order a copy of her book, Principles to Reposition, to assist you with your journey, or schedule a free clarity session to kickstart the journey. After these sessions, clients have stated they found clarity and opened their eyes to things they had long forgotten. So get social and follow LaFlower on all social media platforms at LaFlower Bowie. And don't forget to mention Stunner Radio sent you.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Vowz. Marcus and I are sitting with an amazing couple that we love dearly, Derek and Miesha Williams. And so, yeah, we've just been having conversations about blended families. And so now I want to pivot a little bit and talk about ministry. Because they have a church, Temple of Grace Faith Center. Shout out to the TOGC family. So how do you guys? I know ministry is not easy. It's not easy. If anybody says that ministry is easy, then I fair to say they are not telling the truth.
They are not telling the truth.
But how do you guys manage ministry and your marriage?
Well, you want to answer this?
I mean, it's challenging at times. I mean, we really need to do better than what we've been doing, to be honest with you. It just so because sometimes you have to take a step back. We let everything do before our marriage, and sometimes we forget to be a couple. So we do forget to date. But you just have to take a step back. And I think I told you something the other day, like just let's try to get better at that because, especially with COVID, and with everything with COVID, we haven't been good at dating. But I don't know, but we need to work on it.
But just even acknowledging, like, hey, we got to work on that. I mean, that's huge because you hear a lot of people that are in ministry, they look up, and it's months and years down the line. And because one of our friends, Apostle John, he was saying, with his first marriage, that he really he wasn't there a lot because like the church was his first family instead of his home. I mean, his first ministry instead of his home. And so, I mean, but you guys acknowledging that's key.
That is the truth. But we keep that before us all of the time. We always acknowledge, okay, it's getting rough. We need more, us. And of course, the big things in our life, we make sure that we're doing, like birthdays, celebrations, things like that, anniversaries and stuff like that. And I try, like every holiday for any of the family, take our time and do that. But we definitely need to get better at dating more. I could say this, for the last 2 months I've been out. Um, COVID, I had a bout with COVID, and now this month is our sabbatical, and so I've been relaxing, and I have the opportunity to see, um, and I'm so blessed that the church that I've been, all the people there that I've been discipling for years, they just doing what they're supposed to do, and it's amazing, and so that that helps with me stepping back and allowing people to do what they need to do for the ministry. Um, because a ministry is not supposed to be ran by one person anyway. It's supposed to be the body.
Right.
A fivefold ministry is supposed to be by, everybody's, doing what they're supposed to do. And so it's difficult, but it's not impossible. There are a lot of pastors committing suicide because of this always having to take care of everything and be there for everybody, and they're slipping, spiritually, mentally, and so that is one thing that I'm aware of, and my past kind of helps with dealing with ministry. So I grew up rough. I'm just gonna be honest. I grew up rough. So when somebody comes to me about bickering in the church, I'm thinking y'all not shooting at each other. So
Did anybody pull out?
Did you die?
I mean, it's like it's serious for others, but I just see better resolutions, like easier resolutions. This is not. You're not gonna knife fight. So, like,
I've seen worse.
yeah, see way worse. Like, if you just calm down, take a deep breath, this too shall pass.
Right.
And so it's like, a lot of people. I know I have pastor friends. When they have conflict in church, they lose their mind. Like it's like, oh, it's earthquake. No, it's just not. It's just human. We human.
Mm-hmm.
We flawed, and we might be beautiful people, but everybody's prone to have a bad day. You know what I mean? So it's not that serious. And the way that I minister is I walk with folks. I just walk with them. Hey, you guilty. I know they made you mad, but it's all right. But back to your question. Yeah, it's different.
But you made a good point that family is your first ministry, so I'm trying to do better with that, and just sometimes learn to say no. No, I can't do everything. It might be something at church. No, I can't make it. Like I need to do this for my kids or do that with my family. So just learning to say no, and that, as you said, they like only one person can be everywhere, every time in your family is your first ministry before anything else.
Right.
So, that's important.
I do want to say something. I've always wanted to ask you, particularly being a pastor, that I know I've been there and I've seen you. You're very active in your ministry. This is who you are. And for me, I know I was gone away. I had a job that took me away from my family a lot. I was gone, travel. I wasn't here. But I was able to come back and see them and be with them. As a pastor now, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but sometimes your phone ain't ever off. As a pastor, they feel like your hotline is on 24/7. And I know you devote your life to the church. You're there, you're helping, you're healing. Then you have your ministries outside the church. You're traveling, you've gone to different places. And this is also for Miesha being the first lady. I want to get both of y'all, because I know it's hard for a first lady to deal with that with a pastor. And you being the pastor, how do you turn it off? Because sometimes I would think it would be hard to not answer that phone, because somebody could be suicidal. Somebody could be going through something, and you got to say, if I don't, that I could say something to help that person. If I don't be there for them, then they'll be led astray. How do you navigate that? Because I know it drains you.
It is.
And how do you, First Lady, deal with that? With he's drained, he's devoted a lot of time to his work. How does that? What space are you in with that? I've always wondered. I'm like, y'all can't be. Y'all like literally a full time job, like 24/7, 365. Even when you're on sabbatical, somebody gonna slip up and call you. Hey, can you?
He's laughing now because this just happened yesterday. Like we in the middle, we have another grandson that's on the way, so we had a baby shower for them yesterday. Yeah, so we had the baby shower, you know, and he's still doing ministry on Zoom, and I'm just like, okay, sometimes I try not to be selfish, but I'm like, okay, at the same time, look, we have we have a family too. We have things going on, like. I understand you're the pastor, but everybody doesn't always have to talk to you all the time. You know, you have a family.
Everybody looking at the baby stuff. And the Lord.
You're in the corner, and then
Look at the baby. He over there.
I'm just looking at him like, really? Come on, we have a house full of people. Like, come on.
Premarital counseling.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So you happen to the
That was already on the
premarital
books.
people.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I kind of roll my eyes a little bit. I'm like, look, come on, it's July. Like, look.
I schedule it. I'm horrible with scheduling, and when I commit to something, it's hard for me to do it. So I did both.
Gotcha.
You know, I just hey, please don't come to my office. and I did the top half with sweats. I did the top half with sweats. But it is difficult to turn off. I actually had that happen a couple of weeks ago. Where I was on sabbatical, and I had a young man call me, and it was pretty late at night, and he literally wanted to come to my house, and I was like, no. But I understand what was happening to him. He's dealing with some things, and I'm like, no, I can't. You know, it's late at night, and I'm not Jesus. I'm just not Jesus. And so, you know, I know he really wanted me to be there with him, but my family needed me too. In fact, I had all the grandkids there. I had all the grandkids there, and you know, I talked him through what he was going through, but I prayed with him and offered to call, a couple of other ministers, to help him. But that was like one of the first times that I ever, had to say no. I didn't get in the car and I felt bad about it. And I prayed for him after that to make sure that he get through the night. But we have to rely on Christ. My name is Derek. I'm not Jesus. And and that's an issue in church. People they praise and they worship pastors, and we should never do that. That is God will punish a lot of people because of that, because pastors allow it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And they extend themselves to the point where people think they're miraculous. And no, you're just trying to get notoriety. And it's like handicapping a child by spoiling them.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a good parent because you give them everything. You're actually hurting them. When you leave this earth, they're gonna be in trouble. It's the same way as being a pastor. If you doing every single thing, you're having enough faith for everybody, then what are they gonna do when they get in the jail? And so, I'm learning to say no.
It's a balance. It definitely is, because some days you have to remember, okay, we are servants of Christ, right? That's what we're here to advance the kingdom. But then some days it's like, look, me and my family, we going through it too. Like, I need you here. Like, come help me with these kids. This going on.
Right.
So it's definitely a balance. It's not easy. Until we're gonna probably always have this trouble. Just trying to balance.
Right. I think me and Marcus realized though we definitely don't have as much on our plate as you guys do. But we really have to understand that it's really not. It's like we won't have balance, right?
Yes.
We just flow, and like you said, always keep certain things in the forefront, like family in the forefront, kids in the forefront. Okay, got to spend a little bit of time over here. That communication. Sometimes he won't be in the forefront. Sometimes I will. But we the the priority of the family unit is always in front because we would get stressed like I need my time. I want my time. I'm like I'm serving her. Or we working or we doing this and it was like I want my time. And I think we even had to reach out to Pastor after one of those. And we really realized there is no balance, and that's when we got better because it's like it's impossible. Something's gonna fall short at some point.
Right.
Sometimes your family requires more, and sometimes the ministry does, and just any other obligations that you have in life. So it is a balance. And I think you made a good point, just realizing like we're not Jesus, and so we're not God, and so.
So you did bring up a good fact that you did do marriage counseling session, right? Speaking of that, what is the biggest thing you've seen with couples, and just talk to people about your advice as a pastor, which is seeing what they're dealing with that could help a couple right now that might be going through something.
I think it's important for people to understand their partner's background. You should know their history as much as they could divulge to you. You should be able to know where they come from, how they live, because you have two different human beings coming together and becoming one. And if you don't know what you're becoming one with, it could be some chaos, right? And so being married or the thought of being married is glorious. It's what little girls dream of. It's what little boys are told to do when they become men, and they're right. And it's a wonderful thing. It's one of the greatest unions that will take place here on earth. And it's miraculous, actually. Two people committing to be with one another when there are so many fish flopping around in the sea, right? But so the idea of marriage is grand. And so what a lot of people think about marriage is I'm gonna marry this person who really, toot my horn, they really float my boat. And it's once we get married, we're gonna live in a bubble of bliss. And then they wake up next to that. And that's the reality of it. When you don't know with whom you're with, it's important to understand the background, understand some past traumas that your partner's been through, so that way you can be a real help to them, right? And so my advice for people getting married would be, newlyweds would be, learn who you're with, talk to them honestly, and it's a lot of things. Like I'm gonna be honest, like I've suffered trauma, and I've suffered trauma in my life, and for a long time I didn't understand why I did what I did and how I reacted the way I reacted to certain things, but it was the trauma. And if it was difficult for me to deal with, imagine what it's gonna be for her to deal with, because it's residues and it's lingering from my past. Imagine what she got to deal with, and vice versa. So it's important to know what your significant other has dealt with, so that way you can help them, get along. You can really be a help to them get through that thing and understand it. So some people might not be your enemy. They just might be as a defense mechanism that they have from what they were. child, but you'll never know that if you don't talk. So, yeah.
That's
So you
very true.
thinking that people are more caught up on the physical in the beginning, like, oh, look at that body, or look at him, all day.
It's
So they're
called
on,
Of
euphoria.
course.
right.
Yeah.
So they haven't looked before they leap. They leap before they look,
Yeah.
basically.
I call it, I tell people, make decisions when the butterflies die.
Mhm.
That's a
That's
good,
good.
book title.
That's
Y'all
good.
can just keep that. I'm on.
Got a plug right there. Got a book plug. What was the
But-
title again?
Coming soon.
So make sure that I forgot already. I'm gonna have to look
Make
at it.
decisions when the
Make
butterflies
decisions when the butterflies die. And what I mean by that is, when you see somebody you're attracted to, is butterflies, and you want to be on the phone all night. You hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. On three, hang up.
You still there?
You still there? Yeah, right? And so it's like, that's all good. And, you see them, on your date and everything, but when the butterflies die, when you're not as excited to see this person, I mean, not that you don't want to see them, but they just don't have the same ring. Like,
Where that newness was.
yes. So when the butterflies die, then you begin to make decisions about who you're going to be with, because the butterflies are gone, but listen, I can't deal with the fact that, you only got 2 teeth in your mouth. I'm just saying. I had to use something, but it's something. Your credit score. I'm sorry, I can't get around that. It's a 2. Who has a 2? Like, I'm sorry. You don't want to get with nobody. Every time you get mad, you gotta pay a contractor to come and
Fix the hose in the
fix
wall.
the sheetrock. I could see you doing that once in a while, but man, every week we having to plug it up in the hole. That I don't need a contractor no more. I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because you did it. So I'm just saying this. Just wait. And I'm not saying wait forever. I'm just saying make decisions after the butterflies die.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I like
think
it.
it's also important to just talk about the major stuff up front, right? As far as like finances, do you want kids? Just make sure y'all on the same page about right religion. Exactly.
Pray too.
Exactly. Exactly, because that's going to be a hot mess. And when you saying Allah and you saying Jesus, y'all going to have some conflict.
Right. The kids will be like, who are you?
Yeah.
Right. Said great student.
Yeah.
You brought a good point, because I've heard relationships, people been together 5, X amount of years or so, and all of a sudden, like, he don't want to have kids, but he told you that from day one. Like, that's a surprise to you now.
Right.
So
Yeah.
sometimes I don't think we hear it, but we don't hear it. We too caught up in the love and all the situations, but there are signs that let you know, like, you're gonna have conflict down the road.
Right.
Yeah. And you know what that is also attributed to? When you're too confident in yourself. In other words, she tells you, I don't want no kids. And you saying, yeah, we didn't tell you to get a hold of me. You don't want all my babies.
Yeah.
You're too confident in it. And it's like people want to change people.
Absolutely. Women, we think we can do that all the time.
Yeah,
we think we can change a man, but that's nah, that's true. No
I could
problem.
deliver him from them streets.
All you're going to do is push him towards the street.
Like, girl, I can pick them up a little bit.
Like, I need a project. I can work on
right.
it.
That ain't no project.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
That's really good. And you also talked about knowing their past, and how important that is. How did they grow? How did they grow up? Because I know for me and Marcus, family, like time with family, was a huge wedge. That was like, because he came from not spending as much time. I came from talking to my mom and my sisters almost every day.
Right.
Holidays, and he would be like, "Did you talk to her yesterday? Like, why are you talking to her?" Or he'd be like, "Did you just see your sister 2 days ago?"
Bro, I would be like, I'm like, babe, where you going? She's like, I'm going over to my sister's house. I was like, why? You were just there yesterday. I'm like,
really did not.
that's too much.
It's a total wedge. And he's like, "They coming over again?"
Yeah.
And it's like, "Did you just?" He's like, "I'm like, when do you see your family?" He's like, "Holidays. That's how it's supposed to be."
And that's good to know these things. And that way,
Yeah,
y'all
because
folks
we
in
should've talked
work,
about
I call it a holy a holy understanding, right? A holy compromise. That's what I like to see. A holy compromise where you understand where he comes from, you understand where she comes from, and you have to really just think about it. Like, I never did this, but she had it. That's reality. Just because I didn't do it don't mean it's it's right or wrong. It's just I didn't do it. And so now you get to experience what that's like even through her family. And so that's the same way um, with me and my wife. Um, I don't know what happened with mine. I ain't gonna lie. I really don't know what we grew up young. We grew up going to each other's houses and celebrating everything, and cooking. And then when we grew up, it's like I don't know. I was excluded. I think I don't know. I chose God, and that was it. I didn't. But her family, they get together, man. If it's raining, it's raining outside. Let's get together.
Yeah, that's true.
And so,
Right.
exactly. So I guess for me, I just got in where I fit in, and I fit in well with her family. So.
But I think you bring up a good point too. It's like when you choose to level up spiritually, or when you really hold up that banner for God, sometimes it feels like you are repelling some of your family away just because you are, just because you don't want to be a sometimes believer, you don't want to be a sometimes Christian, you don't want to, waver and things like that. And we were talking about that, like, man, because there were some events that we weren't invited to.
That happens to us all the time. So we understand.
The Bible thumpers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm gonna come in and preach that old Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes you just want to go somewhere. You just want to be you. You just want to be regular. You don't want people to act a certain way or sit a certain way. Like, baby, you gonna drink? Like, I drink wine too. It's okay.
They gotta put the liquor.
But it's like we have to come to the realization, like, it's okay. It's like maybe they're not ready, or maybe when they see us, we remind them that, maybe they are denying God in some shape, form, or fashion, but that's not going to stop us from being who we are. Right. And we can't take it personal when we don't get the invites.
Right.
Because we have started like, man, this person's birthday, graduate, like everything, like major life events, and we didn't get a call. And I'm just like.
But then we got the name. Thank goodness I missed it.
Yeah,
right. And then acting a fool.
Right, when you see the Facebook Live, okay, Lord.
But it's the truth. You will repel it. And the truth of the matter is you do remind them of what God is probably pulling at their hearts to do. Mm-hmm. And so, people, they use all kinds of stuff. They think they all that. I never did like them anyway. Mm-hmm. Look at that. They think they fancy. And they use all these things. And it's not that they hate you. It's just they're mad at themselves because they can't make that kind of commitment. They want to, I want to do what I want to do. And people really get me with that. It's like they drink, they smoke, or whatever, and they feel like they can't come to Christ because they do these things.
Right.
Well, the truth of the matter is, we can't fix ourselves. Mm-hmm. When your car breaks, you take it to the mechanic. You don't take your car to the car wash place when your engine broke.
Right.
You don't take it to a painter to get it painted. Mm-hmm. You take it to the mechanic so the mechanic can fix it. Right. People think, oh, I'm not ready to play with the Lord. I'm still. If you're broken, you go to the mechanic. Even if you're smoking, even if you're drinking, even if you're fornicating, you go to the Lord. He is the one that can fix that. Right. But people, they waiting. I don't know what they waiting on for them to do it. You can't do that.
They don't get that because they feel that they got to be 100% perfect. There's no such thing.
There's
never say that. We've been learning about grace. That's the whole point. It's grace.
God doesn't call for perfection.
Right.
There's nowhere in the Bible Jesus was perfect. He was the one sacrifice that was perfect enough for the world, Craig. The whole world. Like not you, not me. It's it's called sanctification. Mm-hmm. The process from you getting saved to the process to the time you die. That whole process in your lifetime It's called sanctification. It's what God cleans you up. He cleans you up.
Right.
But if you're smoking, it might be 5, 10 years you still smoking, whatever it is in there you smoking, and you don't like it. You know you don't like it, but you do it because you like it, but you don't like it. God has the power to whisper in your ear. Don't do that. I remember before I was in ministry, I was going to church. I was a believer, but I wasn't in ministry, and I had a drink. It was a good, strong drink. I used to like Crown and Coke.
Yeah, it is.
And that Crown and Coke. And I was feeling it. All right. Then I started feeling guilty. Condemnation rose up, and I said, Lord, what's this? I went to take a shower, try to wash it off. And the Lord spoke to me. He said, listen, I don't want you to do that anymore. I cannot use you like that. That was the last time I indulged heavily in anything. But that wasn't a routine. So if I drink a glass of wine, or since then that was that. But nothing
Where you was like,
having to pray about it or deal with it. I'm just saying, like, when God speaks to you, it's a wrap.
oh yes, oh yeah, oh
I ain't gonna preach no more.
But I know we gotta get ready to go. But you guys are parents. You guys are in ministry, but you're also entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So tell us about the apparel line.
Also, too, where they can find you, any platforms, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, tell the
Well,
BT
we just
family.
recently launched a clothing line or apparel line called Consumer Fire Apparel, and of course, the goal of the business is just to promote Christ and fashion.
Right.
And so our mission is simple: is to inspire people to wear and declare their faith wherever they go.
Wear it and declare it. I love it.
Amen.
I love it. Can't wait to get
So
me
it's
some.
called Consuming Fire. A Kalesh. We have that's in modern Hebrew, and we have that in we have some fine threads. The material is so nice.
Feels so soft.
It feels so soft. And right?
No.
It's I really love it. We have like 4 designs now. We're gonna be dropping some later. And we just we praying about it and just reading up on how to get it out there. But
How can I get the shirt? Y'all got a website?
Yeah, where can
Yes,
they find you guys?
the website is www.cfireapparel.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Consumer Fire Apparel, Instagram, C Fire Apparel, and we're also on TikTok at C Fire Apparel.
See Fire.
See Fire Apparel.
All right. And where can they find you guys personally? For the church ministry, where can they find
Temple
you?
of Grace Faith Center. Is that Facebook?
Yes, Temple of Grace Faith Center is the Facebook page,
Mhm.
and then TOGFC for Instagram.
And our website is togfc.org.
Awesome. Well, I know we got to get ready to wrap up. Thank you guys so much. Not only for being on the show, but coming in person to kick it with us. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you, BTV family. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. And of course, as we always say, never settle.
Always take it to the next level.
Grace and peace. Good night.
Good night. God bless you.